This is the new Cervélo Áspero-5. It is the latest iteration of the company's top-end gravel racer. It is designed to be as fast as possible at the discipline's biggest events. Cervélo says this new bike is 37 watts faster than the previous iteration. Now that's a pretty big number. It's a number that had me saying, really? There's also some other curious features of this bike, and I'm gonna get into all of that. First, let's look at the bike's aerodynamics. If you're familiar with Cervélo's stable, you'll see some similarities between this bike and the S5. That's the company's aero road bike. So for example, there is the head tube, which is much deeper on this new Áspero-5, and then there's the pronounced cutout at the seat tube. There's also more material in the bottom bracket area, and also where the top tube meets the seat tube. So all this extra material and shaping allows the frame to move more smoothly through the air. Let's check out the tires. This bike is spec'd with Vittoria Corsa Pro control treads. They are 42C wide. You'll notice that they look a bit curious on a gravel bike. What's with the slicks, you might ask? Well, one is aerodynamics once again. Cervélo says that after their testing, they've noticed that any tire with a tread pattern is slower in the wind tunnel. So they slapped on these slicks, and they've also noticed that in many of the discipline's biggest events, whether that's Midsouth, SBT, a bunch of Belgian Waffle Rides, say, slicks are tending to finish, or riders running slicks are tending to finish near the front of the race. So all of that led Cervélo to put these treads on these reserve wheels. These are the Reserve 4044, and these Vittorias, they measure out to about 41 millimeters on these hoops. Now I have to admit, when I saw these slicks on this gravel bike, I kind of thought it was a bit head spinning because, you know, remember before big gravel, when you just take your road bike on rough roads? Well, it seems your road tires, at least, are welcome back to the gravel. But seriously, what I think this means, or what this shows, is that there's still room for experimentation. There's still lots to play with in the gravel space, which really is what makes things fun. All these different experiments and different takes on what's gonna work on various gravel tracks. I've had this bike a short time. I haven't yet run it through the mud. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about mud because I have used other gravel frames in the muck, and ones with pronounced cutouts that tuck in the rear wheel. Now, what happens in the muck is that it turns into sandpaper against the seat tube, especially in a cutout where the clearance is tight. I'm not totally sure how this will play out, especially with knobbies, but officially, you can run 45 millimeter treads on this bike, and that gives you 6 millimeters of clearance. That's in the fork and in the frame. Now let's head to the front of the bike. You'll notice that there is a new handlebar. It has a very Cervélo name. That is the HB16 Carbon. This handlebar follows the trend of aero bars today. It's got a narrower width at the top, so at the hoods, it's 40 centimeters, center to center. And then down in the hooks at the bar ends, it's 46 centimeters from center to center. So that puts you in a more aero position when you're on the hoods, and you still have that control in the drops and also for descents and sprints. You'll also notice that while aerodynamics is a priority up here, Cervélo has not gone full one-piece bar stem. They've decided adjustability is also important. So you have a separate bar and stem, and you have actually a lot of options here. Right now, the brake hoses are fully integrated. They're running through the stem. But if you want to change the bars, you want to change the stem, you can do that. You can even run the hoses externally into the bearing cap. What's cool about the bearing cap and the spacers is that they aren't one piece. They come apart, and that allows for easier adjustments to the stem height. You don't have to mess with the brake line. So that is a cool feature that I like up at the front. You've probably noticed that up front here, this bike is running a SRAM red shifter. And at the crank, it has a red 48 tooth chainring. Nice and aero there. But at the back, what's this? It has an XXSL Eagle derailleur and to match that, an XXSL cassette. That's mountain bike stuff. So what's going on here? Cervélo has looked at the numbers, and what they've noticed is that if they pair this chainring with this cassette, that gives you a higher high-end gear and a lower low-end gear when compared with the SRAM Red Explorer group. So you've got the climbing gear and you've got a big gear for sprints. And what it also does is it helps with the chain line. So the cogs that you spend the majority of your time in have a straighter, better chain line. So with this setup, what Cervélo is planning to do is set you up for pack riding, and when it comes down to a sprint, you've got the necessary gears. Other cool features on this bike are a power meter, built-in storage in the down tube. It's spec'd with a T47A bottom bracket. Up here on the top tube, you can put a top tube bag. Cervélo sends that along with the bike. It also sends a mounting system for your computer and even a front light. As you can imagine, such a premium package comes at a premium price. The bike costs a little less than $17,000. That puts it in the same range as, let's say, the top-end Trek Checkmate. And it's a little less than the 3T Race Max Italia of a comparable spec. I've had this bike a short time, and I find it's really good on the gravel roads of Southern Ontario. Right out of the box, it performs well in that scenario. I'm considering putting some knobby tires on it to see how that goes, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just see how far it goes on this slick tire setup. The bike handles very, very similarly to previous editions of the Aspero, which I like. It's reactive, it's very racy. It's kind of my favorite style of gravel bike. This is a premium bike, and in some ways, it's all business, but it's still really fun to ride.